Hey, so I got the news this morning about Charlie Kirk and what happened to him, and I've been umming and ahhing whether I should make a video on this because, obviously a lot of people are already talking about it. Do I have an opinion on it? Damn straight I do. I'm a shadow coach, and my job is to kind of challenge and view social shadows, personal shadows, and how they play out in the world, and help people like yourself. Because anyone watching this channel, you've got a higher perspective. You can see things through the lens that most people can't. Um, Basically, let's examine what happened from from a fresh perspective of that only we can. I read the last posts of the shooter. He posted on 4chan the other day, and he basically said that his intention was to cause harm to the what he called the far right, and this is exactly what he's done. Now, you haven't read, obviously, the whole discussion, but it was really insidious. Basically, he's jumping between this idea that everything's pointless and meaningless and everything's going to break down and be destroyed. And what's the point? And extreme egotism. So he's basically talking about how he's going to leave a mark, a legacy. People are going to remember him. He's basically mixing between nihilism and extreme ego inflation. Now, what happened was he was targeted by online bullying. People had gotten a hold of his not safe for work pictures, which he was doing some pretty creepy stuff, and they leaked it onto the internet and said, "Ha ha ha! This is the far left. This is what they do." And so he became a poster child for that. Obviously, these pictures got to his friends, they got to his family, and they kind of distanced themselves from him as well, which made him extremely isolated. And he was fuming about how he's a victim, about how the far right has destroyed his life. And he went on 4chan to say his last piece, which was basically, "Do you feel sorry? Because you should. You've destroyed my life. You should feel terrible about yourself." And of course, being 4chan, for anyone who knows about 4chan, they were laughing at him and jeering and saying, "No, you deserve everything, you F." And this is how the whole conversation went, and he left it with, "You're going to remember me." This is the danger of what we are all doing when we hide behind our masks, our personas of "this is our team and everyone else is wrong." And we're constantly dividing ourselves between the left and the right. We want small government and we want everyone to take accountability for themselves. We want big government and no one gets left behind. Can't we just have another way, a third way? Like we've been in tension for so long, and now people like for a long time now people are getting hurt. People out there, there's real world consequences to this game that we're playing. I'm not unifying for a single party system. Obviously, that's no good because we see what happens when any party gets absolute power. It's mayhem. People up like millions of people will perish. That's just how power corrupts. So obviously we need a back and forth, but we as individuals, like we on the civilian end of things, on the ground here, can we accept that suffering is inherent to all of us? That we're all in the same boat in that way? That maybe the cause of suffering isn't because other people have different opinions than you. Maybe the cause of suffering is just being a human being, and the tension and the conflict of being alive in itself is suffering enough. We don't have to keep adding more and more suffering to each other. There's something I talked about earlier, which is this innate instinct in some people to push others down because it makes them feel higher. It's like and there's also another play, the crab in the bucket analogy, a famous one. Someone rises too high, you try and pull them down. The crabs are constantly drawing and grabbing each other and pulling themselves back into the bucket. And so if you want to keep a bucket of crabs, just keep other crabs in the bucket and they'll take care of themselves. We're better than that. We can go higher than this. We can lift each other up rather than push each other down. Imagine if all the crabs work together to push each other out. Sure, there might be one crab left in the bucket in the end, but at least they'll die knowing that they helped the others. There's always going to be martyrs when you do something bigger and better in society. That's just how things go. And Charlie Kirk, he really was trying to push the other crabs out of the bucket. And it seems that he was the last one left in the bucket in this case. And I feel sorry for him. Rest in peace, Charlie. But you left a legacy. You've done some really amazing things. Doesn't mean that everyone has to agree with him, but acknowledged public debate as a virtue. It's amazing. It's a very powerful thing to do to come together, just like the old Greeks. They knew the power of this. They knew that's why they formulated their society around the wisest among them having public debates. It was the foundation of everything we call today as democracy, of Western development. Because they knew the power of suppression. They knew what happens when you suppress voices. When you don't give people a public platform to speak, and if you tell them that they're not allowed to speak their mind, to express what they express, they get hateful. They get resentful. This is just a truth. You know it, I know it. And we're seeing this play out in micro levels and macro levels every day. Let's have a bit of coffee. It's good for the spirit. Um, so what's happening here with this? My insight, the best way I can analyze the shooter's mentality. He had a massive ego, and he was insulted, and he was cast out, and he felt repressed. And they had this idea: I'm going to get back into society in any way that I can, even if it's violent. This was his driving force. And instead of coming down to the ground level with the rest of us to debate Charlie himself, to talk to him himself, no, he elevates himself just like his ego inflated onto a rooftop where he makes the ultimate judgment. I am God. And now Charlie's gone. And they're going to find this guy and they're going to arrest him. There's no way he's going to get away. He's going to get locked up. He's going to go to prison, and who knows what will happen in there. And is that justice? I don't necessarily think it is. I think that justice is each and every one of us making space to hear the other person, even if we don't agree with them. That's what justice looks like, because we create dialogues. And when we create dialogues, we lower suppression, we lower projection. Stop hiding. If we, as a species, we just stop hiding. Speak your mind. Speak exactly what you think, you feel, what you're passionate about, without fear of being shut down. People will try and shut you down, sure, but understand that that's just their opinion, man. Everyone's got an opinion. Anyway, that's just my ruminating thoughts on this issue. Not necessarily going anywhere, but it's just dialogue. And I think that we can all have a bit of dialogue, especially when things like this happen. Let's just talk to each other. If you hated Charlie, it's okay to say that you hated Charlie. And if you love Charlie, it's okay to say that you love Charlie Kirk. We can love and hate. And if we do it openly, at least we're being honest. And if we're being honest, we can have dialogues. We have dialogues. We can make peace with the fact that we disagree. And you are an expression of what I feel. I'm an expression of what you feel. What you're trying to hide from yourself, I'm expressing, and that's going to trigger you, and vice versa. And that's just how it goes. Anyway, till next time.